All right, so this is my second video of the day. And another issue that I wanted to respond to is the lies that come from the press conferences that are held by Baghdad Barbie and how she completely dishonors the press room in the White House by coming and lying constantly. And a critique I have of the traditional mainstream media who seems to believe that getting access to be lied to on a hourly basis is somehow good. You're being lied to. So a few things. So one, yesterday in her propaganda conference session, Baghdad Barbie, also known as Karoline Levitt, was asked a question about Donald Trump and a foreign trip that he's getting ready to take? And would he be meeting with people who relate to the businesses that his sons are setting up, the real estate deals, the hotels, the developments that they're doing in foreign countries, coupled with the meme coin, the cryptocurrency exchange, and the other activities that he and his family have been doing and benefiting from, basically pimping the White House. They pimped the White House during his first term in the White House, and they're pimping it again. She got offended and said that the premise of the question was crazy. I'm going to paraphrase, was crazy and was disgusting because everything Donald Trump does is for the American citizens and not for his personal benefit. Okay, so that's a lie and should have been called an immediate lie by somebody in the room. But then she also went in to attack President Biden with the lie that really the traditional media and even Democratic elected officials don't push back on properly, which is that somehow President Biden or his son or his brother were trying to enrich themselves off of the vice presidency or him being president. All of those are lies. Donald Trump is the first person and the only person who has been in the White House who's actively sold the White House as a money making venture. He sold access, he sold products, he sold developments in terms of leaning on countries to open up development opportunities for his businesses. He has set up a whole digital currency, which allows people, especially foreign people, to buy into, which is in effect bribing him to buy stake in these crypto digital currency companies and entities. So it's a bribe. He's the only person who's ever done that. Other people who've been in the White House who came from a business or from a rich family, the Bushes, the Roosevelts, others, never did that. No one has ever did that. President Biden didn't do that. Anything that his son did in terms of as a private business person and trying to do business himself, or anything that President Biden's brother did as a private business person trying to do things on his own, that had nothing was ever carried out in the White House by either President Biden, President Obama, President Bush 43, Bush 41, Reagan, Carter, Clinton, anybody, Ford, Nixon, LBJ, Kennedy, Eisenhower, Truman, FDR, Hoover, Coolidge, Warren, Harding, then Warren G. Harding, and the like. So, can keep Wilson, can keep kind of going back and back. but nobody has actually pimped the White House while they've sat in the White House to make money off of the White House. No one has ever done that. And so, one, I want to challenge Democratic officials, Democratic spokespeople, and traditional mainstream media to be that clear when talking about this issue. Don't equivocate anything that any other president or family of a president has done with something comparable to what the Trumps are doing. There is no comparison. That's a lie. And you are promoting a lie by saying that there's somehow maybe a little bit of an equivalency. There's not. Stop it. Stop lying to people. Come on, people. I mean, real. Let's be real out here. It just tell the truth, you know? Two, in terms of pushing back, be also as clear that Donald Trump is pimping the White House. His family is pimping the White House. His son in law pimped the White House. Hell, he, in the first term, had banks come to the White House when he was trying to get loans to support development activity that he was doing with his brother, Kushner family, outside of the White House while he was working in the White House. Hell, he got Qatar embargoed and blockaded by Saudi Arabia because they wouldn't give him a loan for his 666 West Fifth Avenue property. And the way that they got the embargo removed was they ended up, the Qatari investment fund, which is supported by the government, ended up giving him a loan. That's straight bribery. That's extortion. That's pimping. They pimp, they extort, and they bribe. I mean, come on. That's a whole lot of crime. And so, one of the things that I would hope is that at state levels, where state attorney generals, like in blue states such as New Jersey, New York, and others, will look to see how they can pursue criminal investigations for this criminal activity, because it is, and it's got to be state laws in terms of bank fraud, wire fraud, usury, extortion, bribery, corruption, RICO, that can be utilized to prosecute these people for the blatant crimes that they're doing, because no other president, and even though I may not have liked the Bushes and they were rich, they didn't try to pimp off of the federal government. Hell, this guy charges the federal government for the Secret Service having to protect him when he goes every weekend to his clubs and his properties to golf. So he's making money off the federal government that way. No president has ever charged the government for protecting him. None. So, people, I'm just going to say it. That the way that we deal with, from a traditional media vantage point, we got to call lies lies. So when Baghdad Barbie is lying, you got to call it a lie. When Trump lies, you got to call it a lie. When Miller lies, you got to call it a lie. When Kristi Noem lies, Alina Habba, any of them folks, call it a lie and tell them truth ain't in them. You've got to stop equivocating in terms of, well, maybe there's some comparables between, say, the Clintons and Whitewater, or the, Cheney and Halliburton. No, none of that. There isn't any. So ultimately, you've got to call this exactly what it is and stop equivocating. Stop trying to find something comparable, because nothing is comparable. And you have to, from a Democratic side, from a pro-democracy side, don't be afraid to use state power that you have under Article 4 of the Constitution, under the 10th Amendment, and under other provisions within the Constitution, along with statutory laws and judicial precedent, common law, that gives you as states rights to function and rights to look into criminal related activity, regardless of who the person that's doing the criming is. Use that. Do not be afraid to do that. Okay. So this is video 2. Hopefully, like I say, what we'll do, and excuse me because my eyes are kind of, sinuses are messing me up, but we've got to start being this clear and this real as we try to work out here in these streets. We got to stop being afraid to just call things exactly as they are.